Are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, uopod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
I literally went to the polls with nothing in mind. I saw a can of orange soda in the parking lot. And I was like, yeah, there we go. An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I got to vote for Trump, dude.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate. It's absolutely mental.
I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of offensive when you talk so much about the Loch Ness Monster.
Political climate.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Andrew and Eric, a couple of conspiracy retards.
And Andrew, treat yourself, okay? Especially if you start, I don't know, getting in good with homeless people.
Unauthorized Opinions, streaming everywhere at uopod.com. Cock-a-doodly-doodly-doo, man. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't. Ben Stiller was in that music video. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions.
Yeah. Shout out Diddy.
Just a generic shout out to Diddy's.
Yeah. Shout out
YouTube
Diddy.
videos calling him gay.
Well, you know, he does his Halloween thing. He's very extreme with Halloween, which is the trademark of a gay man. I'm just
slapped Drake once at the club, I believe.
Yeah, but look, man, I think I should say I don't think anybody can deny the classics, especially people of a certain age. Diddy brought us the classics, and that's it. That's it. I can separate the art from the artist, I think, in most cases. So shout out Diddy, shout out Mace too, and Cam. They're doing their thing, of course. Third best podcast of all times.
Thanks everybody for watching. As I look across the board, Twitter, Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Rumble we love, I think, the most at this point. Biggest audience.
Twitch,
in terms of live. Twitch, YouTube. I'm going to refresh the page, see if it's demonetized. Refreshing, demonetized. I think we have 1 week in the last 130. We're almost up to 130 that wasn't demonetized. Maybe towards the beginning. It's that's all I have to say. So shout out YouTube for that. But we love Rumble.
Man once said didn't do nothing.
That's true. That was racially said at one point. And of course the audio listeners at Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. We love all of you guys. If you haven't signed up for the Patreon account, please do so at patreon.com/uopod. Uncensored, unfiltered podcast there every week. The bonus episode. And there's going to be bonus footage available for you guys up this week of some sketches, some bits we did in the summer, and that's going to be thrown up there this week. The Patreon's growing. Patreon.com/uopod. The SIMPsons, Eric, hard transition, are growing away from us, growing away from its audience. It's been going since '89. That's 34 years, something like that.
And older than any girl I would choose to date.
Wow. Sexist, ageist. I think most people universally agree after the 2000s, the early 2000s is when it went downhill. They started doing recycled bits. Blah, 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 blah. When did they hit the social justice wall? Probably when they said Apu is a bad character because it's voiced by a white guy, even though Apu's got a big family. He's successful. He's met the Beatles, all this sorts of stuff. Started going downhill during that. Now we're going...
He was a great songwriter as well. He wrote great catchy tunes. Like, I don't know if you remember, like...
Who needs the quickie mark?
Exactly, dude. I mean, the talent is through the roof on Apu. I don't know why they do that.
But now we got to get more social justice-y, with Apu being no longer voiced by a non-Indian guy. Hank Azaria, whose voices tons of things, Mo and everything. Now, Eric, strangling Bart is too much. And they noted in a recent episode that Homer says, "See, Marge, strangling the boy paid off." Homer joked before quickly clarifying that he no longer does that. And people pointed out that they realized that he stopped doing it. Took them long enough, Lamau. I just found out that after 30 years, the Simpsons finally retired the long-running gag of Homer strangling Bart. I knew Homer was going to learn, said another person. The series has made references to the controversial interaction over the years, but still showed Homer strangling Bart up to season 31, which aired between 19 and 20. So I guess they've stopped doing it within the last 3 years, Eric.
For George Floyd, of course.
I didn't even put that together. Look at those old drawings. Back during season 2022, or just season 22, since we don't label seasons by the year, an entire episode, Love is a Many Strangled Thing, addressed the issue of parent on child violence, where Homer attends a fathering enrichment class. And is traumatized after a larger man, played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, makes him feel young, small, and terrified. So they put in a lesson, it sounds like. Homer finds out it's impossible to carry out the classic punishment on his son. So Homer learns his lesson that you shouldn't strangle your son. I don't know, Eric. We both grew up watching The Simpsons. I don't think either of us grew up thinking that it was okay for a father to strangle his son. Just like we didn't think it was okay for the baby Maggie to drive the car into the driveway. Just like we didn't think it was okay for a radioactive man to be burnt in a vat of acid. All these lessons that a 4 to 10-year-old doesn't need an actual lesson on. They feel like they have to do it now. Is it just a sign of how weak a certain generation might be? Maybe the same generation that has 20% transforming rate? Or is it the liberal adults who think it is now time, we are the saviors? What do you think?
Well, I think they are obviously in cahoots with the mainstream media apparatus, right? I think, and you could fact check me on this, that they sort of dove into this realm right around Donald Trump, like whatever 2016, 2017 era. But it makes sense because they think people are so stupid. So along with how dumb the media thinks people is, like the more mainstream news media, if if we have to pretend that people are quite that stupid, then of course you have to do this too, right? So if you think people believe, a 6-year-old can transform, or if you believe that the air outside your front door is deadly, or that driving a truck is going to kill people, then you have to do stuff like this because you think that people who maybe are young parents, or I mean, who is it for? That's always a question too. Like, is it for the kids? This dog just won't. The dog waits till I start talking for him to start talking. Um, but is it for the kids who they're scared that their parents are going to strangle them? Is it for young parents who think that they can watch The Simpsons and it's okay to strangle a kid? None of it makes any sense. But I guess if you just if you just don't think about it at all, it makes perfect sense. And I actually thought I saw this headline and I thought it was old for some reason. I thought it had like been recycled. I didn't realize this was in the news right now. And it is really sad to say, or it really is sad to see The Simpsons. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't watched it in several years, but yeah, growing up, it was a staple, and I don't think nobody thought. It's like the more access to information we have, the more they try to control it, right? So now, I mean, yeah, maybe it wasn't hilarious after season 20, but to go out of your way to say we stopped doing this for what reason, it's all absolute madness. But par for the course in this for lack of a better term, clown world that we live in.
I agree in the sense that I think that the fact that they went out of their way to mention that they stopped doing it shows that they need applause, just like they needed applause for Apu to not do it. I'm reading the quote from 2017 or something to that. Oh, in 2023, Hank Azaria, who played Apu, said, though my role in Apu and what I created in Hollywood messaging, which is a big deal in this country and around the world, I helped create a pretty marginalizing, dehumanizing stereotype, which is obviously not true. As we
Yeah,
mentioned,
who was
Apu,
angry about that? It was like one weirdo comedian with a Netflix special that was mad about this. What?
it was a 2017 documentary called The Problem with Apu. Again, business owner, big family, everybody liked him. He was funny. He apparently had a cousin who sold fireworks at a different location. Indian people do tend to own convenience stores in North America, so it's not like it was a degrading thing. So they
Which
want
makes it
people to
worse.
notice.
right? The
Yeah,
truth hurts them more. They hate the truth more than anything else. And I wanted to say also, there was a mention of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there, who, if you, I mean, I don't want to call it research, but if you do a quick search, I mean, he is so far off the plot in the weirdo like vax
not his real
mandate.
name.
Well, yeah, of course, but like him trying to say that basketball players should be kicked off the team if they don't get the shot, and then he goes on and does like actual pharmaceutical commercials. I mean, he's so far off the plot, it's laughable.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring up some Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was on The Simpsons there. But I think my general feel on this is the older, usually white liberals. Of course, it encompasses everybody for the most part, but usually it's these older women who want to force their belief point on the rest of the world. And it comes across in teachers and small town governments, and of course the Nancy Pelosi's and the AOCs and people like that who say, I know what's best, so I have to force it. I don't want you to make your own decision. I have to force it on you. So the people at The Simpsons,
That's how they fortify the election, right? Like we have to make
whomever
sure
they
it's
may
safe.
be,
Yeah.
they really want to force this upon you. And even if nobody's asking for it, they're going to go ahead and say that. Just like the teachers are going to go ahead and tell you that we don't have to tell you what's going on with your kids because we know better. The Simpsons, after this long, should realize that they don't know better, and that's why they get made fun of for things like this. That's why South Park made fun of them. Just like, you know,
Just hang it up. You guys did it. You won. You did it.
Family Guy took the joke a lot better than the Simpsons do. And I wanted to bring this up too, because this is just, again, there aren't any 17-year-olds asking for this. They aren't running now this, but now this run by 30, 32-year-old white girls who want to make a difference in the world, saying, what if this label was on meat? Would this make you eat less of this? Well, do smokers stop smoking because the people on that? No, of course they don't. So it's a lot of the telling you what to do because they know it's best. There isn't a person like in one of these protests, whether it's a pro transgender protest or climate lockdown, the one sitting in the road. There isn't a person in there who's saying, you just go ahead and I'm going to give you the information. I think what's going on is wrong. You go ahead and make the decision yourself. There isn't a person like that in those protests. It's what you're doing is wrong. I know that I'm right. So let me force you to do it because I can't get that to happen any other way. Remember the Florida school, let's call it what's the word? The
Parental
Florida
rights.
school. No, the Florida school meeting that happened, that was a big tragedy that David Hogg was a part of, or he
Oh
showed up
yeah.
afterwards.
There was a
And
mass
then
casualty.
yes, and they tried to go into the Florida Senate and the Florida legislature and get this legislation passed, and it didn't pass. What a surprise. And they're like, oh my god, how could you do this? Because what they're actually asking for isn't realistic. So they can't actually get these things passed normally, Eric. They have to do it with a Biden executive order, which is, you don't have to pay rent or you don't have to pay college tuition debt. All these things that they believe they can't actually get passed through the will of the people or even through the will of their own government that they're in power with, because none of it really makes sense. So they have to go through other means. I'm
Yes.
reminded of BAM, by any means necessary. Sit in the streets until you do what I say, or
Yes, they rule by force.
we're losing you, Eric. So and then Black Lives Matter, the CHOP and the Chaz and everything like that. None of it can go. It can't go the way of natural order. It has to be forced. I think we got you again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um and this is a perfect, I think, sort of segue into the other now this story about Jonathan Van Ness and Dak Shepard, which we talked about a handful of weeks ago, and now of course it's back because they're claiming that he said why he was in such tears. Of course, you read the story and he didn't do that. But one thing that stood out in that story is that they literally admit that there are not two sides to most stories. Like if you read it, they say something along the lines of, um, the reason we can't take two sides on this is because or I would never take two sides on climate. They say this in the Now This publications, that there's no such things as two sides on certain issues. And of course, one of those issues is climate change. And they're literally telling you point blank that there is no other argument. Like, we're just putting the screws to these people and they will not stop, no matter how many. People can totally see through it. I talked to those New Yorkers a couple of weeks ago or whatever. Even the Shake Shack worker in San Francisco, young black females, for anybody who cares, who are clearly seeing right through this. Like, the last vestige, the last bit of the a demo that the establishment had their hands in, the as bad as this is gonna sound, the Cardi B lane, right? And I'm drawing broad sweeping generalizations here. I understand that, but they're still supposed to be eating all of your little. They're not. So to have a publication literally say, we don't take two sides to this story, is just them telling you, obey what we say. Don't ask any questions. We're going to put this headline that this guy tells you why he cried about this discussion. You read the whole article. They don't tell you why he cried, and then say, there's no questions that should be asked. I mean, it's just mind boggling. And anybody with, as cliche or corny as it sounds, like, anybody with an IQ above, bigger than their shoe size, can see right through this, and they just keep doing it, which is why there's several questions that I ask almost every week. And the one more recently is it good that, in my experience, I'm seeing people that can blatantly tell this is mostly false, 99.999% false, or is it bad that the machine doesn't care and they're going to roll on anyways?
Yeah, and for the audio listeners, what this said was a BuzzFeed article. We talked about the story of that guy from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy or whatever, Dax Shepard. It was part of our talk about how Rob Lowe and Dax Shepard are now becoming voices of reason in Hollywood after being pretty left-wing for a long time.
We can't have that. We cannot have that.
The BuzzFeed article says Dax spouted anti-trans and anti-science rhetoric that, for anyone with the ability to do the tiniest bit of actual research, is fairly easy to disprove. They write like a left-wing.
I did click that link for the record.
Did they have a link in that? Oh, it's easy to disprove. To a different BuzzFeed article.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're gonna change gears here to, I don't know, is this your favorite story of the year? That MFer is not real lady on American Airlines. It combines, a woman older than him, which Eric loves, with spirits and conspiracies and otherworldly things that Eric loves. So she appeared. This is her second, I want to say, public foray. The first one was coming up with new social media and talking about how she's going to deal with mental health. We covered this on the show before. She apologized, says she wasn't at her best. Now she appeared on the Part of My Take podcast, which is Barstool, Big Cat, and the other guys, friends of the show, I guess. And here we're going to play a clip from that where she kind of explains herself, but doesn't really. And then I want to match that up with what the police records say happened and stuff that wasn't exactly on the first video that everybody saw. I'll just go ahead and leave this on there. And let me know if you want me to stop it.
Can I ask again what you saw?
Yeah. The reason why I probably haven't come out yet, because it's like so cringe, I did not see anything.
What?
I mean, I think y'all knew that.
Okay.
We honestly had no idea.
Yeah.
You said you did.
No, I did not. The
Those
media.
motherfuckers.
You said this motherfucker's not real.
I said that motherfucker.
Is not real.
These or
okay.
Apologies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got in a bit of an altercation. It spiraled out of control. It was not my best moment. I mean, it was actually a horrible moment. It's absolutely mortifying.
Everyone has bad moments on planes.
Yeah, but mine, 450 million plus people have seen it.
Yep.
It's pretty.
Jesus, a lot of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank God people don't think it's me though.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool. with that. I'm happy if they don't think it's me.
So what you're saying is that clip that we all saw, that motherfucker's not real, is not like you thinking that someone is an alien. It was just the tail end of an argument.
It was an expression of speech.
Okay.
Like,
So it was just like you had an argument with some guy on the plane, and then as you're leaving, you're like, that motherfucker's not real.
Yeah.
That's
was it like
crazy.
an arm wrest? Like you guys are fighting over
what
the
was
arm
the
rest?
fight over?
Overhead space.
This is way less crazy, by the way. You're completely vindicated, like, because everyone obviously said they watched the clip and they're like, "Oh, what'd you see, an alien? What'd you see this?" It's like, no, she was just saying that motherfucker's not real.
Yeah, I mean, so Daily Mail was like the first to like take it and run with it, and they're like, she saw a not real person, and I'm like, they are making me look batshit. I mean, and given I did, like, I did look absolutely crazy.
So there's her answer there, Eric, saying that, yeah, it was just the tail end of an argument. She didn't say tail end of an argument. She agreed to what he said. Now, we revealed previously that she's a marketing person. So whether she used this as a moment to turn her volume of business up or make a new online personality, she has a couple 100,000 followers now on wherever Twitter was like 138. I don't know. But what I'm saying, Eric, is this does not, if she's saying that it was just an argument, this does not line up at all. And, part of my take isn't going to be this journalistic thing, and I don't want it to be. I don't expect it to be. They're getting along with people. What they didn't bring up, as far as I saw, they didn't bring up what actually was said in the police reports of what wasn't first shown on the video, where she says the iconic thing, that ma effer. We also covered a guy who said he was on the plane with a bunch of tattoos and she was talking to him and he's got like Illuminati tattoos or whatever.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, this is actually what the police report said. So I want to juxtapose what she said, where it was just an argument where she was at her worst, a random argument with a guy, which she won't say what it was about, whether for legal reasons or because she doesn't want to actually say what happened. This is what actually happened. A police report obtained by the New York Post about a month after the incident reportedly stated that Gomas was worked up over an argument with relatives and accused them of stealing her AirPod wireless headphones. Okay, so no mention of the relatives so far in her side of the story or on the podcast. Gomas also had remarks for other passengers before she headed to the front of the plane. Allegedly, but this is what the police said. You can sit on... Police report says, this is what she said now. You can sit on this plane and you can effing die with them or not. I'm not going to, end quote. Police wrote that, quote, the female then started claiming the aircraft was not safe and then did not want the aircraft to leave due to her believing it would not make it to its destination, end quote. That's from July 2nd, 2023. Another video popped up that showed Gomas saying, quote, stop the plane, end quote, before her infamous rant. She then told a flight attendant, quote, I need to get off this effing plane right now. Then she said, see what happens after this, see what the F happens after this. End quote. The flight crew then attempted to retrieve her carry-on luggage, but she said, quote, I don't give an F about my shiz, end quote. So, Eric, none of this is mentioned. I don't see how any of that is just over an argument over somebody or with somebody saying this plane isn't going to make it to its location.
No, look.
You can die with them. I'm not going to. I don't care about my stuff. What do you think is actually happening here? Now that we've heard I'm going to say officially from her own mouth that she's agreeing that it was just some random argument.
If what I think happened is that she drank too much of the airport bar. She got in a fight. It may or may not have involved AirPods. She, people got good footage of her. She's kind of cute. And then it went viral. She sees it and she's like, okay, well, I have to ride this wave. Obviously, first of all, the guy with the tattoos, that may or may not have been fake. Who even knows what that's about? Like we dissected that months ago. But I think doesn't need to be overcomplicated. This woman got drunk, got in a fight, stormed off the plane, saw that it was much more popular than maybe she had planned for it to be, and now she's taking advantage of it. Barstool Sports is paying her to show up on a podcast. She's doing Halloween costume contest or whatever. So I think this is about as good as it's going to get, Tiffany. You have still ignored my DMs. feel free to reach back out. Otherwise, it's done. It's over. You had your time. You're not offering anything like free airline tickets for a costume, and you meal like your weird mealy mouthed half answer on a Barstool podcast. There's nothing more. You've milked it dry. Good on you. Hopefully you've collected some of these dollars, even though I think she was already like a rich woman or boss babe or whatever. But it's over. We don't care anymore. I think this has gone on far longer than it even needed to. And that's pretty much it. Like, it was a
Yeah, I think that allegedly, hearsay, non-provably, drugs or alcohol were involved. And
dude, it's okay.
she
I
started
can't.
talking, Eric. She started talking exactly like 1,000 other women of her age when they talk about conspiracies. I see this guy. I don't think he's real. Something bad's going to happen. How many videos have you seen that
She might have
float
just
around
been
the
eating
internet?
some edibles or something. Like,
Yeah.
who knows, bro?
But how many people have you seen online that, they go after the worst conspiracy explanation at Matthew Perry? He was posting about Batman. It was a sign for something.
I don't know about that one.
The-
But then she becomes a conspiracy in herself, where you have the other people, and there's loads of posts floating around Instagram about how she was replaced and she's a clone, and that's
yes.
not really her. Even in one of the Barstool clips, there's hundreds of comments saying, "Oh, that's not her," or I mean, it's ridiculous. And look, I'm gonna take a hard left turn here as far as conspiracies. Um, the Israel Palestine thing is made to make us forget the border that is out of control. That's my hot take.
It's not a very hardcore conspiracy. I think Tiffany Gomas is the walking embodiment of conspiracies that are preferred by women her age in
Okay.
2023. A woman who may or may not have seen an entity from another dimension, storms off of a plane, gets famous off of it, and then goes home to probably watch more videos about similar conspiracies. That's like, it's all inverted on themselves. It's a conspiracy for herself, about herself, to then make money and be famous off of. It's like every right-wing female personality's dream to be able to get rich off a conspiracy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tiff, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are watching this, reply to my DMs. Otherwise, we don't need to talk about this anymore.
Justin Trudeau's barreling towards the end. I wanted to bring this clip up. It's we're in this place where it's no longer funny. I think maybe a year ago, maybe pre-lockdowns and sort of stuff, it was funny. Trudeau, he dances with Indian people, he dresses silly, he offends people all over the world by thinking he's being like the cool guy. Yeah. He's wearing blackface. He's real. He doesn't know how many times he's done it.
You screw the light bulb and pet the dog.
He's allegedly funneling money. He's doing ethics violations, all this sort of stuff. But it's no longer funny, I guess, when the country's, in the worst place it's ever been, and announcing that it's getting 500,000 people a year crammed into it. No matter what, they're just going to do it. But Justin Trudeau has managed to just get another photo op of him running with 20 people across a bridge. And I want you to rate this, Eric, on 10 being runs completely like a girl and 1 being runs like a guy. Running. Justin, we need you running towards the camera, actually. And the guy next to you has to have shorter shorts on. Are they speaking French? They see the camera coming up, so the security guards get out of the way. They don't want to be photographed because they're ashamed of themselves. What's the rating on this, Eric?
Dude, it's completely through the roof, bro. This is beyond parody. Like, this weird, dainty little, right? Like, back in the day, you'd say, oh, he throws like a girl or he runs like a girl. Now, of course, they don't want you to say that, but it's like, I honestly can't even put my finger on it, but there's clear, like, this is the epitome of being light in the loafers. Like, it's just this is your guy. This is him. Now, I guess I have to give you guys a little bit of credit because I think he can string together a sentence which our guy cannot do. So I guess you get a little bit of credit there, but it's like what is happening, bro? These people are, I mean, it's just the disrespect is just through the roof with these people, bro. Like they're laughing at you and they know this is going to probably be one of the darkest things I'll say, but they know that they know it doesn't voting is gone. The ship has sailed. Who I think it was a Roseanne Barr, right? Who says there's not going to be another election. And she's right, bro. The ship sailed. We are under the thumb of these worldwide tyrants, Trudeau included, Biden included, Kamala, Clinton, whatever, Human Rights Campaign, ACLU, ADL, whatever it is. They are laughing at us, and as soon as you question their authority, of course you will be considered the extremist, and that's how the game is played. So nothing, I mean, it's especially with the migrants, bro. I don't know what you guys are dealing with, but in New York City, bro, it is.
We don't have migrants, Eric. It's all legal. They just make them legal. There's no process. It's just come on over and you're legal.
Are they at least okay? I guess you guys speak French. I don't know. You guys dealing with like people from African nations that at least speak the language that you guys speak?
Africans that come here speak French, so there's no problem there. The Africans are not the problem at all. The Jamaicans, the Caribbeans, are not the problem. The Chinese and the Indian, and it's not the fact that they are personally a problem due to their background or whatever. It is that they just brought in several 100,000 people into one area in a year. It just doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense. If you want these many people to come into a country and you want to justify it, who at the table is like put them all in the one spot?
Yeah. Well,
what is that? Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, I would never say that any of these people are a problem. That's just not something that I would say. But it's just hilarious to watch. And look, I realize that maybe it's not a direct correlation, but this weird fruity little run and Joe Biden.
What was your rating?
Oh, dude, I mean, I guess I've seen worse. I'd probably have to go with a 9. I'd have to go with
9. Wow.
It's like, because I mean, the only thing that would be more feminine would be an actual woman. But because we know that men aren't women, like, he's still taller than but I don't know what
it is. On the right though, Eric, that's the shorts you wear when you competitively run. And then Justin's are not much longer. You can see his tan line.
Like
French guys, Eric, that's all I have to say. French guys.
Guys. It's pretty despicable watching these people. Like, I mean, they're okay, not literally, but figuratively just laughing in your face like you're gonna take it. Like, this is some weird, like, bite down hard type of stuff. Like, bro, they're destroying you and then jogging down the bridge like as they literally destroy the country, and anybody who is a native of that nation will be deemed an extremist for failure to comply with all of this weird shit.
When you go as a leader of a country on any public thing like this, you're doing it for publicity. Joe Biden tried it with a bike ride. He fell over, memed himself into oblivion. But you don't just go.
But it doesn't matter.
You're the prime minister. Why do you need to go? There aren't private gyms. You could even get a private track. You could go as the prime minister, be like, hey, the prime minister wants to come do laps with X team from wherever today. And they'd be like, okay. And you could just do that. Instead, he chooses to run on a public bridge with tons of people on it and a camera waiting for him at the end of it, and say, hey, the guys, I'm just a normal guy just like you.
Yes.
My wife left me. I barely see my kids. You can't afford anything. Do you know what he did recently, Eric? I don't know if you heard about this. People always say, how did Trudeau get elected? And a lot of his votes come from the East Coast, where there's a lot of seniors there who, they're loving life. They don't have to worry about anything. They've been lifetime Liberal voters. They liked his father. And he took off the carbon tax from their heating bills. Only the East Coast, where he gets most of his votes. And then they come out and say, yeah, we're not doing that for anybody else. This is now what they're doing. They're taking pandering to such an extreme level that they're saying, we're only going to help our voters, and the rest of you too effing bad. You guys can suffer. This is like, they don't care at all. I'm going to go running, and you're gonna pay more money unless you vote for me. It's
Yes.
insane.
Yeah. And it's completely despicable. And again, just if you do not agree with it, then you could end up under the thumb. And it's happening, right? They're using AI to monitor people because, and I saw this firsthand, if you don't obey, it's always going to be life and death. You know this. So if you take if I take a picture in the New York City subway, that's a terror threat. You're not for terrorism, are you? Right? Like it's
I
just
would never.
it's through the roof. And yeah, they're just humiliating you, they're laughing at you, and they are wielding power at such a clip that it is I mean, it's a runaway train, bro.
Run away. Remember that song? Never going back. Patreon.com/UOPod. It's growing. You can help us become Joe Rogan with $10 Canadian a month. That's like $7 US. Become a Raptors super fan. Just watched a video today of the very first Raptors opening ceremony. They had a dinosaur come out of an egg.
I saw you post that.
And then the unauthorized person.
What was in
that,
like the 90s? Was that like the
1995?
95. Okay.
With them Grizzlies for some reason, Canadian expansion. And you see all the bonus podcasts here. You can't even see the thumbnail because you're not a member. That's why you can't see them. Patreon.com/UOPod. Shout out Mr. Krakovian in the chat. Go to Patreon, please. Chris Kroll in the chat said, didn't she say the plane was going to crash? Yes, she did, Chris. Please go to Patreon. And shout out to the people on Getter. Bobby Sims, I see. Or is it Bubby Sims? And Poppycock68. We encourage you to go to patreon.com/UOPod. And if you're an audio listener, you know that you can get the full video version of the bonus podcast every week on Patreon. I'm starting to sound like I don't know what. It's like how they say, don't they say insurance in the South instead of insurance?
I don't know. That's beyond my knowledge.
We're going to switch to some sports stuff now. Marcus Jordan. Now, we've talked about for probably a year about the craziness behind Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Of course, they played on the Chicago Bulls together, won 6 championships. And Michael Jordan's son is dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. So his son, who's in his, late 20s, early 30s, dating this 50-something-year-old guy's ex-wife. And this is from the Cam Ron and Mace podcast. I haven't seen it. So is this Scottie Pippen's ex-wife in this?
Well, this is Cam, I believe, calling her out because she has no problem continuing to use that name while she's not married to him anymore, because it obviously gives her clout. I think she used to hang out with the Kardashians, but without the name Pippen, she's nobody. So maybe when she gets married to Michael Jordan's son, she can change her name to Jordan. And I think that's what he's saying here. I sent you a lot of stuff, but let's take a look at it and see what he's saying.
So thoughts for the couple?
First of all, Pippen ain't your last name. That ain't really your name either. Like, yo, that's your kid's last name. That don't have to be your last name because that's your kid's last name. Like, my son's mother doesn't have the same last name as my son. That's still her son. So you're just making up reasons to have the Pippen Jordan so you could be number 23 and 33 at the same time, D. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Pippen Jordan. That is some fucked up shit when you sit there and think about it. You got the Prince and the King's name of the 90s for your last name.
I didn't think about that, Eric. So if she gets married to Michael Jordan's son, which is hilarious and strange in its own right, she can have her name as Pippen Jordan. Yes. And then that's wild. Usually women, when they get divorced, my mother included, they don't want to keep their ex-husband's last name because it reminds them of the guy they no longer want to be with.
Yeah.
She's going to be. They need to have a kid that can be named Pippin Jordan. Now the kid's going to benefit with a sweet life from that, not to the fault of his own. But the mother's going to become Pippin Jordan. That's wild.
And it's also kind of funny because we had the story a week or so ago of Joe Smith and his OnlyFans wife and them getting into it. And if we recall, a couple weeks, months ago, Marcus Jordan already okayed OnlyFans. Do you recall? He was like, "Well, I just want her to like, dude. What are you talking about, bro? Like, you're dating your father's teammate's ex-wife, and you have preemptively said that it's okay for her to do OnlyFans
porn."
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, it's quite obvious that even if Michael Jordan said, I'm cutting you off. You were no good at basketball. You're not in the NBA. I'm cutting you off. He would still be absolutely fine just on the last name. He's got a little sneaker shop, whatever he's running. You can make a decent living, as a business owner with the last name Jordan, literally being one of Michael Jordan's sons. But for him to come out and preemptively say that, I mean, think about the cuckery or the simpery that has to happen for you to come out while you're dating your father's teammate's ex-wife to preemptively say, I would be okay with her going on OnlyFans. Are you
I would have to think that means that he doesn't care. And any advice for any women watching, if your boyfriend, you're dating guy, you're in or whatever with him, you're talking, as the kids say now. I saw that on a sports documentary somehow. If the guy says, yeah, I'm okay with you doing porn in the future, he's not too committed to you. He's not going to he doesn't care about you enough to care if other men are paying to see you naked.
But see, I think it's gone so roundabout. Like he's been so brainwashed by the agenda that he thinks
it's empowering.
Yeah, this weird old male feminist stuff. Like, yeah, like I don't care. Like, okay, you're gonna be Adam 22, and you're gonna be letting all your rec league homies run through your wife, even though she's at least a decade older than you and used to be married to you. I mean, this shit is through the roof,
It's
bro.
very strange. I wonder if Jaden Smith's friend is okay with what's her face, Jada Pinkett doing that.
Yeah, and Jada. I mean, Jada. And
Jaden Smith and Willow Smith were doomed from the start, weren't they? Scientology. Your mom sleeps around on your husband all the time. Your dad's okay with it. He pretends to be okay with it until he explodes and slaps a comedian in the face. It's Jaden never had a chance. All the money in the world. Here, go in. You're in the Karate Kid now. Oh, you're in Scientology school. She whips her hair back and forth.
Yeah, so something's not right, and we might, I don't with Michael Jordan, it's obviously not Hollywood, but there's certainly, I mean, take a guy like Kanye, right? Like he's been completely ousted from the regime, the establishment. They hate him. He's this, he's that. Like I think what happened is, this is just my theory, and I know I'm getting a little bit off track here, is that Kanye was on the inside, married to a Kardashian, and I think I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and we basically cracked the code. It's not well, I shouldn't say crack the code. It's not groundbreaking, but OnlyFans could largely be traced back to Kim Kardashian. The Transformer movement could largely be traced back to Bruce Jenner, basically meaning that family alone has completely ruined society. Right? Like, I mean, name one Transformer before Bruce Jenner.
Well, there was one that was on the Howard Stern show.
What's the name?
His name was Siobhan. I don't know. It was just one. You know what a whack packer is? It was one of those.
No, I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is, without realizing it, that Kardashian clan has basically ruined the entirety of society. And
OJ.
now I mean, it's absolutely,
it goes back deep, Eric.
Yeah.
We go back to OJ. We go back to Bruce Jenner. That's like the 70s, isn't it? Or is it the 80s?
No, I think when Bruce was like in the Olympics, I think that was the 70s. And this guy,
the 70s, he gets to be Wheaties and everything, probably bleeds into the 80s. Then it's been a while, 10 years. until OJ, and then OJ into what's after that, Kim K and Ray J. That's
Yeah.
early to mid 2000s. Then we've got Kim Kardashian fame in the 2010s. Marries Kanye.
All from the Ray J tape though. Which
Yeah, and then that goes into. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say that tape is basically the grandfather of OnlyFans.
Well, did you know, this is what my girlfriend told me, and she showed me, I think she showed me an article or something where Kris Jenner, the mother, talks about it. There is like a text message or an email from the mother that says, what do you got? Like, she sends them, I think it's different titles of the sex tape or different cuts or something, and says, like, which one do you guys prefer? I didn't know until like Watch Check this year that it was all completely planned.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know because I've never seen it, but there's a joke, an old joke that you can like see the boom mic and some of the lighting like creep into the. So yeah,
That's wild.
it was all totally planned. And I remember when the Bruce Jenner thing first happened. I guess that was more than a decade ago now, but I remember thinking it was a complete joke. Like I remember it might have been TMZ or some like
What
People
thing first
magazine or
happened?
so when Bruce got in the car accident.
Yeah, I don't think that was a decade ago yet. I think that's like 2017.
Okay,
maybe it's 2013.
Okay, check the numbers. I don't know, but my point is when the car accident happened and Bruce Jenner was like walking around the car and there was a joke going, or it wasn't a joke, it was the truth, but I think it was like some entertainment gossip news site that said Bruce Jenner was turning into a woman. And I thought that was I was like, like
2015, by the way.
Okay, so
wow, it's been that long.
So 8 years, almost a decade. But I remember thinking, there's no way. Like it was at that point in time, it was beyond parody. It was beyond the pale. Then Bruce becomes Caitlyn, and just like that, the floodgates are open. And now, I've said this before, Caitlyn wants to go on Fox News and say, well, these people have become too extreme. No, dog, I'm not listening to you. You started this. You put the crazy train in motion. You are ineligible to discuss it. Get out of here. And Kim...
His voice, though.
Yeah, well,
I don't agree with that.
Hello, Sean. Thank you for having me. It's like
as his face melts.
Like Eric Adams, Tracy Morgan voice. This is your mayor, Eric Adams, and then he's like trying to read a piece of paper, like today the mic there's a yeah, like, dude,
like Dumb and Dumber.
You guys can't even read. But my point is, Kim and Ray J, in my opinion, quite obviously, basically are the grandparents of OnlyFans, and Bruce, Caitlyn, whatever her name is, of course, to spell it with a C, just to spite the rest of the entire family that spells it with a K.
Right. I never thought about that.
She, he, they, them, z's, him, zer, is the grandfather and grandmother, literally and figuratively, of the Transformer movement. And then you have the gall. You have the gall to say you're still you still like women. You have the gall to still play golf. You have the gall to go on Fox News and say it's gotten too extreme. Miss me with all that. And last thing
I'm running
here,
for governor.
I think all of it, every single bit of it, or both, all of the intricacies of both of those stories were spearheaded by Kris Jenner. Because nobody's ever going to call her stupid. You might call her evil, but not stupid. And she spearheaded the entire thing. And then last thing here, you remember in that OJ narrative documentary type of pseudo thing on FX where Kris Jenner is at the murder trial for her husband. No, Kris trial. Dude, it's like Kris
Jenner's husband was the lawyer, right?
Kris Jenner's husband was the lawyer, and he's defending a woman, defending the man that she was cheating on him with, all while Bruce Jenner is also at the trial, and she wasn't with Bruce at the time. So Kris is there while her husband is defending OJ. She cheated on her husband with OJ.
Who?
With OJ.
She did?
Yes. Allegedly.
She cheated with with who he was defending. Okay, allegedly.
It's weird.
Keep going.
It's Hollywood swinger stuff, right? Like, so.
Yeah, but keep going. I want to make this connection.
Okay. So her husband is defending OJ, who she slept with, but she's
Mhm.
also sitting next to Bruce Jenner, who she was not married to at the time.
Why was he there?
Because it's just Hollywood. It's just Los Angeles stuff. It look it up. It's a very, and then, bro, that family, Tyga, Kylie, they have destroyed. And look, a lot of people went along with it. I'm not sitting here and saying, but they put a lot of this insanity into motion. Tyga, Kylie, Black China, all of this stuff, it can really all be traced back to the Kardashian family. But I don't know how we're doing on time, what stories we have left, but I think we have to touch on this. Since we're doing bad impressions of Caitlyn, thank you. Wait, hold on. Let me do the Caitlyn. Thank you, Sean.
Hello, Sean.
Sean. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm running for
Sean.
governor now. It's all gotten so extreme. So you
What did you want to talk about? New
Eric
York?
Adams.
Right.
Eric Adams. Yeah. So Caitlyn put the keys into the car, faced it downhill, and then kicked it, and then is pretending that, it wasn't. I had nothing to do with how extreme this has gotten. But yeah, Eric Adams. Hello, New York. I am your mayor. Let's talk about how white supremacy has taken over because people don't want their high schools. They don't want the the asylum seekers to live in the high school where their kids play basketball. That is racist.
All right, let's read some of this work. Eric Adams can't read.
He
It's
can't,
beautiful. Eric Adams denied any involvement in illegal political fundraising Friday, but his campaign pledged he would review the books a day after federal agents raided the home of one of the Democrats' chief fundraisers. Is that okay? I was going to ask you to read this. Yeah, read this in his voice.
I am outraged and angry if anyone attempted to use the campaign to manipulate our democracy and defraud our campaign.
Adams said in a statement Friday. An attorney for his campaign, Vito Pita, you're going to have a talk with the Italians that I know, said they were reviewing all documents and actions by campaign workers connected to the contributors in question. So they're saying this girl, Brianna Suggs, she was raided for, campaign, I guess, taking money from Turkey, donations from foreigners that are banned by law. Now that, I don't know how deep to dig on that, but what are some of the comments I heard surrounding this were people saying, oh, you started to question the migrant narrative and all of a sudden you're getting investigated. And I said, no, Eric, with 75,000 clapping emojis. He is not questioning the migrant narrative. He is saying everything's amazing as long as you give me more money. There is at no point did Eric Adams say, stop sending them here. We can't,
that is racist.
We're no longer a sanctuary city. He has said there's too many people here, but we can fix it if you just give it more money. Chicago's asking for more money. Boston's asking for more money. We just need more money, you guys. And he called his process where they put them in shelters and then find housing for them. He said it was a great template he's been doing. So to those of you who say that he's getting, his people are getting raided because he's questioning the narrative, I feel you on that
False.
one. I know that's what
false.
It's false. He loves the narrative.
So let's,
or else why being a sanctuary city is illegal and they won't even denounce it.
Yeah. It's completely false. So Brianna Suggs, right? The woman who was raided. And I'm sure we may or may not get any more details on this, but she is 25 years old. She's 2 or 3 years out of college. She was and this sounds weird to say now because of what a joke it has become, but she was an intern, right? We know what the interns do in the political space. Am I right?
Campaign records show 11 individuals who listed their employee as KSK Construction gave more than $13,000 to Adams during a fundraiser in May 2021. Reached by phone, they declined to say if they'd donate directly to him, with two people telling the Associated Press they're advised against speaking publicly. One of the listed donors said they've been contacted by federal authorities. Adams has touted his connections to Turkey, a country that he visited at least half a dozen times as a state senator and Brooklyn borough resident. Strange, Eric. The only person I know who visits Turkey is Mocha Bazurgan, who's from Turkey. Shout out Mocha, Turkish celebrity. He said he had helped further relations on commerce, culture, and safety. Give me a break, Eric. How
okay.
much Turkish stuff is in New York City besides a few restaurants?
That would be a great question because I mean, while New York is arguably, the food mecca of the United States, where you can literally get almost anything, and I am pretty familiar with the city. I can't think of one Turkish. Before Ukraine was even a thing. I promise you, before Ukraine was even a thing, I did go to a Ukrainian restaurant. It's very famous. It's called Veselka. There will be a line outside if you go on weekends. It's open. Used to be open 24 hours before Rona. Delicious little pierogi dumpling things or whatever.
Nice,
so you can get
pierogi.
almost anything there. I've had Russian delicacies. And I'm not even meaning to talk about Russia, Ukraine, but I think things that are actually in New York. And go to all these neighborhoods. Shout out my Russian tour guide and my New Jersey host. Anyways, but this woman's 25 years old. She was the intern at his office while he was Brooklyn Borough president when he inadvertently got a woman shot 8 times. And while this is happening, so Eric Adams, and this is still on his Instagram to this day, it was a couple hours ago, where he posts a little Instagram reel saying, "We are going to DC to talk about the migrant crisis," because they want to pretend like it's a very intricate and difficult problem to solve, but it's not. It's really not. I could figure it out, right? You can call me all the worst names in the book, but it's a pretty simple issue to solve. So he shoots a video saying that he's going to Washington D.C. to talk about the migrant crisis. There you have it. He lands in D.C. So he takes like a 40-minute flight from New York to D.C. He lands there, immediately flies right back to New York as news is breaking that his top 25-year-old campaign fundraiser is being raided by the feds. And then he goes back onto Instagram and starts talking about National Alzheimer's Day. I mean, it's just, so you got guys like him, you got guys like Trudeau, they're laughing at you. It is completely despicable. Now, Adams does have a little bit more of a shield, of course, being a black guy, right? Like, so, but the facade is slipping, and this is going to get really ugly, especially if you got a guy like Gavin Newsom who's pretending he's not running for president. But I promise you, if Gavin Newsom gets anywhere near the levers of power, there's going to be a problem because we can all see it. What's the old saying? They're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, but they lie anyways because they have complete control. They have the media apparatus. This is where guys like us come in to combat their terrible, laughably beyond parody. I mean, an SNL sketch could never do what the political regime and the media is doing right now. And so for him to completely, and I get it, look, he talks to his lawyer, don't say anything, but for him to go to DC, not take the meeting, fly right back, and then post about Alzheimer's disease while everybody knows what's happening or everybody's curious to know what's really happening, and then he slaps you in the face saying it's National Alzheimer's Day. It's just, and then you can also see from a week or two ago, he makes a post about National Immigrants Day. I mean, it's a slap in the face, bro. The disrespect is absolutely through the roof, and something's got to change.
Still, I see no changes. This is where I do like a 4 minutes of.
And speaking of, did you hear? Yeah, did you hear about the street in Oakland that was named after Tupac, MacArthur?
No, I did not.
They named a street after Tupac because
Amaru Boulevard.
It's MacArthur Boulevard. It's now called Tupac Shakur. Or they did in New York too. They call Biggie Way or Wu-Tang Way out in Staten Island. Meanwhile, there are insurance companies fleeing the Bay Area because they can't afford to insure cars that get broken into once a week. But we're gonna put a sign of Tupac up. I mean, it's just
the name changes, Eric. Tupac's mother's name was not Shakur. She changed it after dating a Muslim guy, a Black Panther. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's Lou Alcindor.
So basically, what
Muhammad
you're saying
Ali's,
is everything's fake.
Everything's fake. When you want to become At least Mike Tyson didn't change his name when he became Muslim in prison. Thanks, everybody, for watching on Twitter, Getter, Rumble, and YouTube. And, of course, Twitch. Thank you, everybody, for watching on Spotify and listening on Apple and Google Podcasts. Patreon.com is where you will find the new content this week. Patreon.com/UOPod. All the links are at unauthorizedopinions.com. Play us out, Eric.
Buy this book, New York City 2020. It only gets better with age. And maybe if I sell some more copies, there'll be a sequel.
Get money.
Turn it up, Jordan.